I am delighted to bring this unique fermentation cultured saucy course to you to allow you to explore and experiment with a whole range of fermented foods in the most flavorful and exciting way. Not only for you, but for the person in your life who is so reluctant to try these foods and therefore is missing out on a whole host of beneficial microbes that can be doing wonderful things in your gut, shifting your microbiome into a happier place, a more balanced place, and therefore shifting your whole well-being into an entirely different stratosphere. For over 10 years, I have been working with fermented foods, creating all types of flavor combinations and concoctions that exist within the jar. And these have ended up on the side of a plate as a condiment, or maybe mixed into some fresh ingredients as a staple part of my diet and as an addition to what I am eating on a daily basis. Fermented food, of course, has wonderful health benefits. It is full of beneficial bacteria, which are really, really great for your gut health. Fantastic at turning your microbiome into a more favorable place, and therefore encouraging your well-being to be the best that it possibly can be. However, I want to look at these foods through the lens of flavor and to see them in their own right as a food that is essentially an ingredient that can be added into many other foods to create something that's quite a surprise. What I have compiled is an ebook, which was part of your course, which focuses on 6 really accessible and really simple ferments, which you can make at home for pennies. I would encourage you to look at making these ferments, and with these 6 ferments, what I have detailed is 26 sauces. That's a new sauce every fortnight for a whole year. And with this, you can really start to play with flavor. You can really change the direction of a meal. Even though your base ingredients may be the same, you can present something that tastes completely different from one day to the next. And I guarantee you, in the space of a year, your microbiome will look back and thank you that you have decided to introduce these foods into your diet. So this course comes with this book, and the ferments that we detail are garlic. We have fermented ginger in here. We have got chili, preserved lemons, a total must, kimchi, which is a fantastic fermented food to eat on its own, but fantastic, wonderful things to do with that too, and miso. I do walk you through how to make miso, but fantastic misos are available commercially to buy as well if it's something that concerns you. What I'm going to focus on in this introductory video is I would like to break down for you this science of taste, and I would like to show you how we compile together these sauces. So possibly at some point you can veer off and you can start to create your own variations. And if you do, I would love to hear from you. So I have this really simple diagram on the wall. So in the middle here, we have this triangle. And in each corner of the triangle, we have 3 basic flavors, which now that you start to view things through this lens, you might understand why they taste so good. So the classic combination of balancing out a flavor is to have something sweet in there. So our sweet taste buds are obviously at the front, and you know, the first flavor that we encounter. The next flavor is salty, and then the next one is sour. So these 3 ingredients on their own, in the right proportions, mixed with a fat, will give you something that really tastes quite good. Now there are 2 other flavors to add to this profile. We have bitter, not something that we need very much of, but really quite important for us to it's a center on our tongue, but it will fill out the flavor of something. And we also have umami, which is I suppose a harder flavor to identify, but it is just that complete flavor that we get when we eat something. We go, this cannot be improved upon. So these are our flavors, and what I find is that when you combine these with a fat, you have something particularly good. I mean, if we look at how they have engineered taste in terms of snacking, that snacking culture, you take salt and fat and you've got something that tastes quite good. You take sugar and fat, you have something that tastes quite good. Put these three together, you have something that tastes even better. Add a little bit of sour in, or pungency, and it will lift that. So, really we're kind of using these isolated flavors and trying to bring them together to give us something that just hits the nail on the head. If we've really messed up, I put this in as a bit of a joke, bin it. But I say that in jest because if, for example, we have been creating a pleasant experience and we find that our mix is a little bit too much of something, that one flavor is more predominant than the other, we can use this diagram and we can use the other flavors at our disposal to try and counterbalance that. So say, for example, I have mixed something together and it is too sour. So that overriding sourness is just too present. And this is very particular to our fermented foods because the fermentation process creates lactic acid, which is a sour flavor. So it's quite possible if you are using these ingredients to make a sauce, your overall ending product is going to be a little bit too sour. If that is the case, add a little bit of sweet. That's going to sort it out. That could be something sweet like a natural sweetener like honey, maple syrup, that kind of idea. It could be a little bit of fruit carrying its own sweetness. If you don't want to go down the sweet route, sometimes a little bit, pinch of salt will sort this issue out for you. Say, for example, we have added too much salt on this occasion. We have been tinkering away and maybe we have used a kimchi, which is still a little bit salty, or we've just accidentally put too much salt in. Or possibly even a better example is our preserved lemons, which rely solely on salt to do the preserving. Say we put too much of those in and we need to peel this whole experience back. If that is the case, we add a little bit of sweet. That could be a date, that could be maple syrup again, honey, a bit of fruit, whatever. Sometimes some of the sweeter vegetables like carrot, beetroot, that kind of idea. Say, for example, we've gone overboard now and we've made our overall sauce a little bit too sweet, which is often possible. If this is the case, we add a little bit of sour and that's going to peel the whole thing back. Our overall concoction is just seemingly a little bit bland. It's kind of not really tasting of anything. What I would advise is add a little bit of salt to see if that lifts it and accentuates the ingredients that are in there. And if not, we've kind of maybe got to break down things a little bit more, but sometimes salt sorts out the issue. And then, essentially what we are aiming for is this kind of complete sense of umami, where you're kind of really feeling like, that's it, I've rounded this all off. This is there. My mother taught me the mother sauces as the very first cookery lesson. So at the age of 11, I learned how to make all the basic sauces, because this would free me up then to start creating all these different meals. Now, I don't use the same ingredients that my mother uses anymore. I tend to stay away from the flours and the butters and the milks. It has not put out the fire of my curiosity, and I've turned my desire to understand sauce and to understand what a sauce can do into something that's a really, really adventurous and healthy expedition. Sauce is one of the really valuable elements to a meal, and throughout many different cuisines you will find that it is the sauce that is the defining feature of many meals and many plates. So what I'm suggesting is, cooking for me has become extremely simple. I take my vegetable, or I take whatever my protein source is, I apply whatever that technique is, either roasting, boiling, grilling, whatever you choose. I'm kind of, this is a whole other recipe book if you want me to tell you what to do with these sauces. But say, for example, I decide to roast a cauliflower. Today, the cauliflower could be a wonderful preserved lemon offering, and tomorrow it could be a wonderful hot spicy chili offering. Really having these sauces at your disposal allows you to take very basic, simple ingredients and turn them into something that's a lot of fun. So I encourage you to get your 6 ferments on the go and then let the adventure begin. Have fun.